Today we've got hot behind-the-scenes buzz, a heavy decision, and a possible turning point that could shake the entire locker room. You're going to hear about a reinforcement that turns short yardage into first downs, a secondary piece under the spotlight, a homegrown talent demanding real snaps, and a familiar veteran who might knock on the door again. What does all this say about the identity Harbaugh is imposing? Who gains ground this week in Los Angeles, and who loses it? You won't believe what we've got today. So take a seat, drop a like, and let's get straight to the news. Before we say names, think about the urgency. The running back rotation lost ballast. The clock isn't on our side, and Jim Harbaugh made it clear that identity is punishment, ball control and short yardage conversions. The front office lined up the tape with the need, talked about rational cost, and mapped a specific profile, a runner who hits straight downhill, lowers the pads, and drives the pile when everybody already knows it's a run. The hint that leaked from the background is direct, and the technical logic aligns with what Greg Roman draws up in the playbook: physical, vertical, no frills. This target brings exactly what's been missing in those 3rd and 1, 4th and inches, and red zone moments, decisive reads in gap concepts, vertical acceleration without dancing laterally, and pass protection sturdy enough to let play action breathe. It's not about a home run hitter, it's about having a hammer to finish the job. The staff sees immediate value in reduced packages, duo, power, and pin pull on clear rails with a no-nonsense north-south style. When it's time to pick up blitzes, it's a wide base, strong hands, and that extra half second to open an explosive route or hit the tight end up the seam. Now yes, the name that's moved into priority status is Zamir White. The fit with Harbaugh and Greg Roman is practically a teaching tape example. White is downhill by the book, always falls forward, and doesn't flinch from contact. In tight space, he turns collisions into hidden yards. At the goal line, he reduces improvisation and increases the good kind of predictability, the one where you call power and impose your will. The idea isn't to make him a 3-down workhorse, but to define roles with clarity. Omarion Hampton remains the 1A, carrying the volume and the cutback runs. Zamir White steps in as a short yardage, goal line, and 4-minute offense specialist. Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal stay in complementary and special teams roles, with snaps flexed by game plan. This arrangement protects the rookie, improves conversion rate, and keeps the defense fresher. The benefit is collective: longer drives, arrested defense, fewer 3-and-outs in short yardage, and rising red zone efficiency. The math gets better when the cost comes in. Behind the scenes, conversations revolve around a day 3 pick, a 6th rounder, potentially conditional, and a prorated salary. Clauses based on snap share, goal line touchdowns, or first down benchmarks create that risk-reward alignment front offices love. Logistically, the plug-and-play makes sense. Active quickly, a trimmed playbook for specific packages, and gradual expansion as rhythm and chemistry build. There are risks, and the staff isn't naive. Lacking 70-yard breakaway speed, sure, but that's not what this role asks for. Does his presence on the field risk telegraphing calls? The staff installs tendency breakers, heavy personnel play action out of 13, weak side toss trap, to avoid giving away the script. Volume, somewhere between 8 and 12 touches, keeps the body fresh and the impact focused where it hurts opponents most. In the locker room, the message is crystal clear: we're attacking the short yardage problem with the right tool. Fans know when the front office solves a Sunday pain point, and this is the kind of decision that feels like respect for the roster. And that wasn't even the most surprising part of the day. Anointed by much of the fan base as the defense's spiritual captain, Alohi Gilman is living the flip side. From cult hero to heavy target of criticism in a matter of weeks. Anyone who followed his rise from a 6th rounder in 2020 to that 2024 extension knows how much he became a symbol of hustle and turnovers. But 2025 opened with visible stumbles, and Bolts fans' patience is wearing thin. The play that turned into a symbol, play action, pulled his eyes the wrong way and left Cortland Sutton all alone for a 52-yard touchdown. That alone doesn't define a career, but it captures what the stands are feeling: insecurity. Pro Football Focus stamped a 29.6 defensive grade on his latest outing. And it's not just a number. The tape backs it up, especially in the weakest area of his game coverage. He's always been aggressive against the run, a solid tackler, a ball hawk when the opportunity appears. But in this defensive structure, a single deep coverage misread swings the scoreboard like never before. There is nuance. Against the Raiders, Gilman played well and posted a grade north of 80, riding Geno Smith's impatience with deep balls. In Week 1, he turned in a more modest mid-60s grade. The problem is consistency, and fan confidence is yo-yoing at crazy speed. Context makes it worse. Elijah Molden is banged up, while veteran Tony Jefferson is earning snaps with authority. And then there's RJ Mickens, the rookie who energizes the crowd every time he steps on the field. The equation is wide open. When Molden returns, how does the staff divvy up the roles? That suspense is rocking the building. Benching Gilman would be harsh for someone who carried "we can't lose him" status on his last deal. At the same time, the locker room understands meritocracy. If the deep ball remains his Achilles heel, it's hard to justify a full workload. The fan base, which always roared for his turnovers, now sighs with worry on every opponent drop back. Deep down, everyone wants the same thing: the aggressive, fumble-hunting Gilman who plays at the edge and changes games. If he finds that groove, the Chargers' secondary stays balanced. But if the 2025 script remains uneven, the pressure on Harbaugh to reshuffle will be immense. Because let's be honest, this team only contends for real if it stops handing out free explosives. But hold on, because what comes next is even more unbelievable. Najee Harris's loss hit the offense like a lightning strike from a clear sky. Fans barely had time to get to know the running back in a Chargers uniform before losing him for the season. A torn Achilles season over, and the responsibility now falls squarely on rookie Omarion Hampton. But there's a detail here: nobody survives 17 NFL games without help in the backfield. And here's where this week's big pivot comes into focus, because the roster already has a card that could change everything. Kamani Vidal, a 6th-round pick in 2024, he's been hidden in the rotation, flashing here and there without a real shot. But if you've been paying attention, you know the kid looks a lot like a certain Austin Eckler. Versatility, absurd college production, secure hands out of the backfield, and a nose for big plays. He even showed it last year on a wheel route against the Broncos, a touchdown in his very first game, perfect route, ice-cold execution. Of course, there's risk. With just 43 carries and 155 yards on his resume, the sample size is too small to declare anything definitive. But the moment screams opportunity. The schedule opens a comfortable window. The Giants are falling apart. The Commanders give ground through the air. The Dolphins' defense is crumbling. That's 3 straight games where Hampton can carry the main load, and Vidal can get real RB2 snaps without the rope snapping. If it works, the front office buys time and confidence. If it doesn't, the market is wide open and the deadline is coming for external help. The point is, Harbaugh called Vidal the next man up on Monday, but GM Joe Ortiz already has the magnifying glass on outside options. Fans want to see it with their own eyes before any check gets written, and that makes sense. You don't toss out a player with obvious space game juice just because the initial sample didn't sparkle. The staff needs to find out whether there's a homegrown solution before spending picks. In the locker room, the message is confidence. Players notice when a coach bets on a late-round rookie and gives him a real chance to become a key piece. If Vidal seizes it, he can turn the pain of losing Harris into fuel for a new, improbable hero in Los Angeles. And let's be honest, nothing pulls at Chargers fans' hearts more than a forgotten kid becoming a lead actor. And that still wasn't the most surprising part of the week. The loss of Najee Harris keeps echoing, but there's already chatter about a move that splits opinions. Ezekiel Elliott, big name, respected resume, 2-time NFL rushing champ, but also a veteran whose recent Cowboys return showed some wear. Just 126 yards, 3.1 per carry, released before season's end. Still, one memory sticks: a goal line specialist, a hammer who finds the tiniest seam when there's zero space. The Chargers already had Elliott on the practice squad in 2024. He didn't play, but he absorbed part of the system. That familiarity could shorten the ramp if Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz want to revisit the idea. Here's the debate. Is it worth betting on a veteran who no longer brings consistent between-the-20s juice but can be decisive in inch-yardage situations? The inside view is that Elliott wouldn't be the RB2 answer or a long-term solution. But in a package specialist role, he can free Hampton for heavier-hitting runs and Vidal for space routes. Picture the trio: Hampton handling the bulk work, Vidal offering aerial versatility, Elliott popping in as a power piece on short yardage. Not glamorous, practical. Fans, of course, are split. Some see Elliott as a pointless gamble, another veteran body without explosion that could block youth development. Others view it as low risk, a practice squad deal, minimal cost, and a chance to see if there's anything left in the tank for a very specific function. In the locker room, a veteran addition like Elliott would have a psychological effect. It shows the front office is willing to explore every alternative, even off the beaten path. For rookies, it's another reminder that opportunity is earned on the field, not by name. For the staff, it can be a safety valve if Hampton and Vidal falter on pivotal shorts. Ultimately, this possibility exposes the Chargers' dilemma: accelerate the renewal by betting on youth, or reach for a once-elite name who might now be only a situational piece. Maybe the right answer is to experiment with everything, because in the NFL, inches decide seasons. And now that everything's on the table, the question is inevitable. Do you think Elliott still has enough gas to be useful, or should the future be entirely in the hands of the young backs? After a heavy day in Costa Mesa, one message stands out: identity is built in the details. The push for Zamir White points to an offense that's ruthless in short yardage. Alohi Gilman's ups and downs lay bare the cost of a a single misstep in the secondary. Kamani Vidal's opportunity reignites the spark of an improbable hero. And the Elliott debate tests our appetite for risk versus patience. Which path would you choose today? Tell me in the comments. Power this video with a like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Tomorrow brings more inside info, more analysis, and, above all, more Chargers in full war mode. Always,